Welcome to the Billy Ho Forecast Show. Please subscribe and like the video. Remember, the more you share, the bigger we grow. Now, let's go! Hello, Billy Ho here. In today's show, we are going to head north up to Blaine, Minnesota to cover the 3M Open. Hello, Billy Ho here. In today's show, we're going to dive into the Rocket Mortgage Classic, and we're heading over to Detroit Rock City, baby. Before we get started, let's talk a little 3M Open. I just wanted to mention a few things. It was really, people call it a shit show. A lot of chalk bombed. Windy conditions on Thursday was a little unfair. I had a lot of AM, PM, and I still didn't get guys through the cut. So it was really rough, tough sledding. One thing to remember, take notes on particular tournaments like this because it's almost like this every year because there's so much water and you can just turn one day, have a birdie or an eagle, and then the next day you have a double. So, just embrace the variance is what you ought to mark next to your notes. Also, I just want to recommend not just going all in with the trust fall with guys like Davis Riley, who I do like as a golfer, who is a very excellent golfer. And I think he's got a bright future, but he's been on tour for about 5 minutes. So, these guys aren't always going to get there. I mean, if you see a guy that's going to be 35, 40%, 9K, and he's got 12 tournaments on the PGA Tour or something, take a chance on him burning you. I mean, if he beats you, so be it. Now, me, I did do that, and that worked out. But the mistake I made was the Hideki chalk pivot, because I thought Tony Finau was going to be so highly owned that I should pivot to Decky and save 15, half the ownership. Well, it didn't pan out that way because a lot of people thought that way. And Tony Finau tick on down in ownership to a more reasonable level. And he was obviously the safer play, regardless of the finish, because obviously ignorant ass Hideki Matsuyama pulled up lame again with some excuse because he shot a 77. He had a 9 on the number 9 hole. He found the water twice or 3 times. I'm not really even sure, but if he at least found it twice. Now, on to this week, lessons learned. Detroit Golf Club is a 7,370-yard par 72 Donald Rust designed Bomber's Paradise. Both fairways and greens are bent POA mixed grass, and it's got a 4-inch rough that is a bluegrass mix. So I don't think it's very penal. I know 4-inch sounds a lot, but the fairways are very, very generous. Tree line fairways, about 34 yards wide on average. The greens are 5,100 square feet on average and run about 12 on the stimp meter. And Detroit Golf Club is quite the opposite of the TPC Twin Cities, which you see this week, as there's little to no water. I believe the par 4 14th hole is the only hole on the golf course where water is in play. Now, this will also be the 4th year of the Rocket Mortgage, and we're also going to be set for another Birdie Fest. So as you can imagine, there's 10 or so holes. I'm going to show you a few while we're going through this that are better than 20% birdie rates. There are 4 par 5s total, 3 of which are gettable in 2, and I think the other one is kind of gettable in 2. I saw some people get there that were bigger hitters. If you get one out there over 300, 320, you can get there in 2. So they might as well all be there. But as you can imagine, it's the par 5 4th hole that runs about 620 yards and it will take a monster drive to have a chance to get there in 2. Now, the reason why I like that hole as a par 5 is because it only has a 28% birdie rate, whereas the other 3 are your typical 40% plus, 38, 42%. And those are the ones that they have a slightly uptick in the eagle rate. So be on the lookout for that. There are a half a dozen par 4s that are in the sub 400, 425 gettable categories. And they're right for the picking. Super easy handshake opening hole number 1. It's like a 385-yard par 4, pretty easy. Also, to add a little more scoring to the mix and maybe a possible for an ace, I don't know. Holes number 5 and number 15 both play short par 3s anywhere from 150 to 175 yards. And they can play 147, 152, either one of them. They do push the tees back, I think, on the 15th one, that it might play as long as 175, but that's still a 8-iron. So pretty easy holes there. Okay, now let's get into some skill sets. And it's basically going to be gripping and rip it off the tee this week. So you would think bombers would be good targets, and you would probably be right in most cases. I do think bombers are good, but kind of because everybody here seems to hit it a little bit longer anyway. And guys like Kevin Kisner and different other guys are very good. We could take a quick look at the tournament history. And you can see actually in the 3 years, Kevin Kisner is number 1. Cam Tringale, who's not a masher, Nate Lashley, who won the very first one but missed 2 cuts, he gained all those strokes in the 1 win, and he was absolutely tearing it up. So it's not as much bombers as it is going to be wedge fest. So what we're looking at here, there hasn't been a whole lot of rainfall. I believe the tournament last year had about 7 inches of rain or something in July. So the course did play softer. So it might not have got as much run out. But this year, very little rain. And there might be some summer storms in the forecast next week. So keep an eye on that. But of course, then again, this is also greens and regulation are higher this week than normal. But 5,100 square feet is a smaller type of green. So greens gained are going to be huge, obviously birdies and DK points. And there's our wedge protocols there in place. Strokes gained approach. I'm going with good drives because you're not, even though the fairways are wide, you're not always going to hit the fairway, but you still want to be able to get to your green in regulation or under. I also have this little model here built that is just my wedge model where I got strokes gained approach total. And then I got your 375, 100, and 125 wedges. So I'll look at that and run some different variations and see what's going on there. And also the important thing to do, and these golfers are quoted as such, like Nate Lashley, the very first year, is these greens are undulating and they got a lot of slope in them. So golfers are going to want to keep the ball below the hole. If you keep the ball below the hole, you will make a ton of birdies. So I want to go maybe looking at the good proximity and opportunities gained type stuff could be good. And so if we get into a few players, like this is my wedge model over the last 3 months. Scott Stallings obviously been playing very well. He's a good wedge player, so he'll be definitely on the radar. Max Homa's in the tournament, and he's just all around one of the best 2 or 3 players in this field, probably. Field strength might be a hair stronger this week, I think, as we look at, Finau's going to be back, Davis Riley, we got Willie Z, and, it's probably similar cast of characters, but there might be a couple extra good ones, Webb. And of course we know our history with Webb. So I believe I will be marking Webb off. So you can go ahead and play him because he's probably going to top 10 since I'm not playing him. And Luke List, he thrives. He's a killer off the tee. He thrives on these kind of courses. But, the problem with him is he can put you right out of the tournament. Cam Davis, I think, has a pretty fair shot to repeat this week. He won it last year, and he has just been absolutely crushing it lately. And, he doesn't hit all the fairways, but he has done a lot better here in his last recent 8 rounds or so. So I'll be on the lookout for him. Might be on the lookout for the heartbreaker Davis Riley, who might do a bounce back, because as I quoted to my Discord people, he hadn't played since like the Travelers. So he had damn near a month of no PGA golf. And some guys can just jump right in like Adam Scott used to and get that shit done. And some guys are not. And we don't know with Davis Riley because we haven't seen enough of him. We don't have a big enough sample size. But I got sand saves in here just real quick because there are 87 to 90 bunkers, and most of them guard these greens. So guys are going to still need to get up and down. And I do have a little bit of distance in here just to as maybe a tiebreaker. One guy is 134th and one guy's 12th. I might go with the higher, longer distance guy. And so that's what we got there. Well, that's going to cover it for this week on the preview show. Detroit Golf Club for the 2022 Rocket Mortgage Classic. I hope you like the show. I hope you've subscribed to the channel. If you haven't, please do so. Please tell your buddies and pals, even if they're not interested in golf or whatever, family members, grandmas, whatever. Get them a YouTube account and shoot me a sub. I'd be most appreciative. The more I get closer and closer, I got a long way to go to get to 1,000, but you don't get there if you don't try. And try, I will each and every week to be better, to help you win some money on the DFS train. So until the next show, peace.